Crumbs just hopped through this into the window. Let's see if he'll hop through it back. Crumb, come here. Come jump through this. Okay, that's also fine. Hi, welcome to today. We are serving Miss Honey realness. I feel like anytime I look a little bit like a teacher, I just think it's Miss Honey. I'm not wrong. Today marks 1 week from me boarding a plane to Tulum. I am going to make vacation outfits from scratch. It is not a good idea, but that's not gonna stop me. In preparation for my trip, I was on Pinterest looking for vacation-inspired outfits. Everything that I started to click on was all very much the same. It was either silky or strappy or with a huge slit in it. So I figured, why don't I just make a silk, slitty, strappy? I'm saying slitty also with an I. I mean, depending on how far that slit is, it could change to a U. So I know that I've been like pretty into thrift flipping lately. I can't even say that. I've thrift flipped 1 tank top. Lately, I've been really into sewing. I figured, why don't I just buy fabric instead of trying to thrift flip something else? Excuse me? Excuse me? Okay, at least one of them listens. I guess all of that makes sense. I'm trying to make something strappy out of scraps of fabric from scratch. Hamilton, get out of town. Actually, come back. I want to see it again. Without further ado, I'm gonna go to Joann's, get some fabric, come back, trace some stuff, see how it works, and then go to Tulum and wear it. I think this is a plan. I'm not really sure what the adjective of that plan is, but I do know that it's a plan that I will take action on. Let's do it. We're back from Joann's. We got a few goodies. I know that I'm in over my head by saying I want to make 3 garments, but I want to make 3 garments. I felt like if I just did one, it would be a cop-out. And so this is me just reaching for the stars. I know I've definitely skipped a few steps from doing 1 thrift flip to just now making clothes from scratch. One of them, I want to use this transparent kind of tropical floral print. I would love to put this into a, please hold for the source material. I found this picture on Pinterest. It's a really high slit skirt. Also, I didn't realize this when I was buying the fabric, but it has a very similar print, and I think that I can do it. It's mainly just this wrapped and attached. I mean, the slit is like 90% of it. The second thing I want to make, matching 2 pieces are super big, so I figured, almost swallowed my esophagus. I didn't realize until afterwards that I bought lining. This isn't really supposed to be seen. We're gonna make the invisible visible and give it its own little spotlight when it usually is hiding behind another pattern, metaphorical. Straight across neckline with spaghetti straps. I'm gonna use this skirt as a template. It's basically, oh, look how well this works out. It's like a midi skirt that's kind of flowy. Whew. So, parkour, number 1. I ended up hemming this skirt a while back. I've been sewing for like 2 minutes. I got 1.5 yards of each of the fabrics, even though I probably don't need them. Something I've heard is seam allowance. I not only gave myself seam allowance, but mess up allowance. The silk dress trend is mainly the one thing that I'm swooning over. You have the really long, sophisticated feel, but then you also have this like little flirty feel. This one is like really short. I think I might like that one the best. Oh my god, I mean, I could never, but imagine if I did. I mean, maybe I can. I think I'm gonna stop saying that I can't do something, because it's not the fact that I can't do it, it's just the fact that I haven't figured out how to yet. Look at this fabric. This is a beautiful, uh-oh. What side is right? Oh no. I think the side that I liked was actually the underside. This is matte, and the other side is like silky. Oh my god, a fashion matador. I should leave. Is that how they do that magic trick? This is the fabric I want to use for the last little mini dress. With this dress as a template, I think I can do it, and Lord prove me wrong if I can. Okay, number 1, let's go. For this first one, I don't have a template. I just figured I would wrap it around and sew it. I got an invisible zipper, elastic, because this could be a waistband, and I'll probably be eating a lot and drinking a lot in Tulum. So I figured that this would kind of swerve, don't drink and drive. I felt like this would be like a dual purpose. Like I would be able to put it around my waist for the poundage that I arrive in Tulum. And as the week goes on, then we have some more allowance. How do I start this? Usually you would try something out inside out in order to find where you are hemming, but since there is nothing here, I'm gonna put it around me and I'm gonna safety pin some stuff. Sewing. I put a safety pin where I thought I wanted the hemline to be, and then I used fabric chalk, and then I cut the excess off the bottom and off the sides. Don't know if that was a good idea yet because I don't really know how much I need for the side. So I'm marking with fabric chalk on this elastic, and then I just cut right along that. I took the elastic and the fabric and wrapped and pinned along one side, and then just put that through the sewing machine. While I did that, I had a little bit of tension on it so that it would be able to stretch. I did the same thing to the other side, and then I cut off the excess. And then, check this out. Oh my goodness. Then I started pinning the extra fabric to what I had just sewed on the elastic band. Oh God, I ripped it. There's a bunch of loose fabric on the back, so I figured I would put a dart there, which I've never sewed a dart before. I pinned the very back, then I just kind of like bunched up where I thought equidistant. Listen, I know that it sounds like I don't know what I'm doing. Because I don't. I've never used a zipper before, and I haven't watched any tutorials on it. I also didn't read the packaging. So maybe that's why we're here. I'm pinning one side of the zipper to one side of the fabric and then the opposite side to the opposite side. And then I saw the edge of the fabric had like a darker part, cut that off, repin everything, and then I realized after all of this that when I inside it out, the slit will be on my not favorable leg. I basically have to just redo the entire thing on the other side. Once I figure that out, I go back to the darts. There's so much extra fabric, so I go for 3, and I traced alongside all of the pins. I basically connected the 2 little dart entry points to the little other point. Then I sew them. It sounds like something's about to go wrong in my voice as a foreshadowing element. That's right. One thing I learned about darts is that if you want it to not pucker, sew a little bit on the actual line where the dart ends and don't backstitch, and then tie the remaining string. So I did that to all 3 of these darts. I put it on, and guess what? I've darted too much. The darts are so tight that the fabric that the zipper was supposed to be on doesn't even touch. I unstitched everything. We are at ground zero. You gotta learn by experience. This moment right here is how I felt the entire time. Just me getting overwhelmed, really thinking over my life. Then I learned about something called the zipper foot. Oh, I hate this. Turns out I'm a big fan of the zipper foot. I don't think I ever changed. Once you go zipper foot, you never go back. I'm gonna start looking at sewing memes. And I bet you I will like them. That's when you know you've gone too far. Changing the zipper foot, breaking a needle. Oh no, my God, no, my God, no. You know, your typical sewing things. Some frustration, doubt, crippling self-doubt. We've got it all. If you think the amount of footage that I have of me trying to work on the zipper, imagine how much I didn't film. Then I realized that I have a dress form that I bought to sell clothes on Poshmark. Doing things on yourself is very difficult, so I went to the dress form, plucked it right inside the styrofoam waist, and started once again pinning that zipper. Is anyone having a good time? What I've learned from sewing is it's gonna look bad before it gets good. So I sewed the zipper on, I sew the hems, I cut the excess off. The zipper is finally on. Oh my God, we've gotten here. I really didn't think we were going to. I start making backwards darts. Then I go upwards and cinch in where my back is so that it, you know, fits like a glove. And it honestly did fit like a glove. We went through a lot, but we got there. And then it was time to tackle the hem. I wish there was like a little rule of thumb for the back side, because like the front hem is normal, but the back hem needs to be maybe longer to accommodate for the curvature. I still don't get it, and I don't know if I ever will. I mean, I guess I could always look it up, but we're not gonna do that. Also, I spent like 3 days on this. This is a lot, if I must say so myself. And I had to get back to my normal life. Who cares? It's done, and I did it. Here's the final product. I think it looks very good for my first thing ever. I really should have started with something that I had a pattern for. The pattern felt really complicated, but I think I did a very much more complicated thing, which for some reason tickles a part of me that feels better about doing that. I'm learning so much about myself during this process. Moving on, the next thing that we did is a 2-piece set. Putting things on the ground is a bad idea when you have cats. Scratch that. Putting things anywhere that you need to focus on is a bad idea when you have cats. This is so much. Crumbs just was never... I've honestly gained so much patience through this whole thing. So, okay, I have this, I guess, Dalmatian skirt that I thought would be really nice, but then for some reason, I didn't want to do that anymore. So I use this Brandy Melville wrap skirt. I cut around it about 2 inches on each side because Who knows? I laid it out into what it would look like a top, and honestly, I felt really good about this. It already looked like a top. The issue was just putting it together, which turns out was a big issue. So I pinned the side of the wrap skirt where it would wrap around so you wouldn't really see that hem, which was the goal. Throw it through the sewing machine, something happened. I'm gonna go ahead and say that's problematic. So now starts my love affair with the seam ripper. So I seam rip this and start over again. This time I try harder and it works. Yay. Next I wanted to tackle the waistband, and since I wanted this to be really smooth, I didn't want a hem on the top, so I found this thing called bias tape. In the midst of me pinning the bias tape on the waistband, I discovered 2 rogue streak lines on my fabric, and that was just a whole nother thing. So when I put the skirt on, it looked really elementary. I just thought like it looked like a uniform in a bad way. It wasn't sexy enough. We had to like up the sex appeal. So I ended up folding in the first layer so that it kind of went up into the hip. I cut the extra fabric, sew it up. Now we have a good inverted V straight to sexy town. How much do we all hate that? So I cut the slit, I reinforced it with bias tape as well. It looks actually great. At this point, I'm stoked about it. But it feels like every time I get closer, I find one more thing that's wrong with it that I need to fix immediately. Okay, I get it. My neuroses is coming back. I go back and I fold over the hem one more time. I sew all of the raw edges so that it looks great from every angle. If we thought the skirt was tough, let's talk top. I put on the front of the fabric and I pinned this to my bodysuit. Is that how you do it? I know that I instantly need to put darts. Where do darts go? Who knows? If they went too far in, then it would look like an Austin Powers fembot homage. And like, we didn't want to go full Madonna. Wherever I saw little tiny impressions of a crease, and I used fabric chalk and I just drew lines. We're going for it. I didn't really know how to do the other side symmetrically. I guess I could have pressed it and like rubbed it a bunch, and then maybe it would have transferred a little bit of fabric chalk, but really I just eyeballed symmetry. Listen, no part of the body is symmetrical, so like, why measure? That's bad advice. I really should have measured. It looked good enough to me, so then I started pinning through each of the chalk lines. I sewed along the pinned markings. Immediately, I go willy-nilly and just sew the sides together. I didn't measure anything, but it kind of worked in the end. So in my last experiment, I realized zippers are difficult. So this time I was like, okay, let me sew the side seam, and then I'll put the zipper behind it, sew that, and then I'll seam rip the front so that the zipper is like perfectly coming out. It's like saloon doors of fabric. Ugh, the zipper's done. Okay, moving on. Here comes in the bias tape. Same thing with the skirt. I just pinned this to where it would fold over and be great. Now it's time for the straps. And oh, I wish I had someone to tell me what to do. My idea was to seam on the side and then use a tool in order to put it inside out. It was supposed to work wonderfully. It did not. The one thing that I thought was a great idea at the time, and I still stand by, is I used a extension hook tool. One side has a hook and the other side has a closure. It's used to put micro beads in your hair. It did work as intended, but as soon as it was inside out or right side in, then you could actually see all of the mistakes that I had made. So I was like, oh, the only thing I can do is push in the sides manually and then hand stitch all the holes. An insane person. After trying to do that for 15 minutes, I was like, oh, I could just sew fabric normally and then I can cut the excess and then it'll be perfect and then I won't have missed any. Listen, life is a process, and so is sewing. Okay, these worked wonderfully. Everything is good, we're back on track. I put the garment on inside out, and then I pinned where I wanted the little straps to be. Ooh, nice to see I use a measuring tape for once in my life. I just made sure that the straps were kind of equidistant from each part of the top. I sew it to the bias tape so that when it folds over, it looks like these straps are coming out of legit nowhere. On the back, I just sewed them on the seam that was already previously there, so again, it looks like it's coming from legit nowhere. And now it's time to try it on. Look at this. I am actually very pleased with this. It's a functioning zipper, it's got darts, it's got straps, it's got a side. Oh my gosh, what does it not have? Well, it's not get into that because I'm sure there's things that I can improve on. Celebrate the small victories. Honestly, I'm feeling great about where we are. And then, okay, everyone calm down. Huge flag on the play. If we remember the beginning of this video, the intention that we set was to make 3 pieces. Technically, we did make 3 pieces. This is a 2-piece 1-2, and then I made this skirt. We made 3 pieces. I know that we were all really looking forward to this paprika colored silk dress, but guess what happened? Somebody peed in my suitcase. Now, I think somebody knew I was traveling. Let's just consult the person we're talking about. Excuse me? Excuse me? Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. I'm not even gonna fix your exposure because you're grounded. What has happened on this day and age is Crumbs. Yeah? That's legit all you have to say for yourself? Crumbs peed in my suitcase. So we are not going to make the last garment, but what we are going to do is, I don't know how to say this because it's ridiculous that I am gonna go this route with things. Moral of the story, all the articles basically said that my luggage was a goner. But here's the thing, I have a very weird sentimental attachment to this particular suitcase. A couple years ago, I got it on like triple discount and I really like it. It's been with me the first time I ever went overseas and it's part of a set and I remember that being a huge winning point for me. I figure we will veto the paprika silk satin dress, so sad, and instead I will sew a new lining for this. It does seem like too much. The one thing that's very consistent about me is that I overachieve when I don't need to whatsoever. Just steadfast working harder than I should. So let's just continue on that cycle. Instantly, we gotta get the pee away. So I cut out the lining and basically use this as another template. I see the elastic straps were really heavy duty attached to this, and I'm not gonna lie, it did go through my mind that I was going to repurpose these little straps and put them into my new lining, and then I was just like, I'm leaving for the airport. I don't have time to do this. And then Crumbs got in and I thought I was gonna pee in it again because they smell where they should go to the bathroom and then they go to the bathroom, and God forbid if Crumbs peed a second time on the lining, I would have lost my mind. I tried to remove these elastic bands with a power drill, did not work, so I just ended up cutting them out. So I ended up using every cleaning agent that I had in the house in order to try and remove the smell. The hard part of the suitcase is just normal plastic, so I figured that I could probably get rid of the smell from that. Any fabric that it was on may be a little bit harder / impossible, according to the internet. So I do my best here to try and measure how much lining I need. At the time, I thought I did a really good job. I add up all the inches, I divide it into feet. Fabric is sold by the yard, so then I divide the feet into yards, and I need 1.75 yards of fabric. I go to Joann's, I come back. I make a little breakfast. Crumbs tries to eat my breakfast. We begin the project. I got black swishy fabric. I got strips of stick-on Velcro, little Velcro ovals. I got sew-on Velcro. Why did I get so much Velcro? And I get a long zipper. I don't need a zipper for anything, but I figured that it wouldn't be impressive unless I did a zipper. Ugh. So I cut fabric that is meant to be the long trapezoidal piece, and then I sew along the seam hem. Since the saloon door zipper trick worked really well for the green set, I decided to do the same thing on this, and turns out it only works once. I really can't visualize this, so I start like putting upright the lining so that I know what I need to cut out of the extra fabric. And then the whole 3D thing threw me for a friggin' loop. I decided the easiest thing from this point is to open up the suitcase, turn this inside out, and then pin kind of where it lays. This, believe it or not, is also difficult. While the suitcase is hollowed out, I cut the stick-on Velcro to fit the sides. I was like, if this smells like pee a little bit and they decide to urinate once again, then I will want an easy out. So I put Velcro because then I could just whip another one of these up. I should just get new luggage. Why do I care about this so much? Ugh, it's the set. You can't break up a set. I put the pointy side of the Velcro on the suitcase. I put the softer side of the Velcro on the lining, stuck them all together, flipped that flip up, and we're done. Oh my God, it's finished. There was so much that happened here. Oh, is that wet? I mean, I gotta be honest with you. It still smells a little bit like pee.